Everyone thinks your phone number lives on that little plastic card, but a soldered chip proves otherwise. One chip holds 5 numbers and number 1 takes less than a QR scan to start.
No plastic. Your number is the master key.
It signs you into your bank, catches your two-factor codes, recovers your accounts, and holds your contacts.
Lose that key or corrupt it, and you can be locked out of your own life.
So why would anyone solder that key permanently inside the phone instead of leaving it on a card you can pop out?
That's the real question. Start with the plastic card. Pop one out and it looks like storage. It isn't. It's a tiny computer.
That gold rectangle is a secure microchip called a smart card, with its own little processor sealed inside.
Here's what it's guarding. Burned into that chip at the factory are 2 things. A public ID number that says which subscriber you are, and a secret authentication key. Think of the ID as your username, and the secret key as a password that no human ever sees. Here's the part that matters. That secret key never leaves the chip. Not to your phone, not to the tower, not to the carrier's computers. The chip does math with the key inside itself and only hands out the answer. Ask it for the password directly and it simply refuses. That's the whole point of a secure chip. And the card kept shrinking. It started full size, roughly a credit card, then mini, then micro, then the nano card most phones used for years, barely bigger than the gold contacts themselves. Each step trimmed plastic around the same core chip.
But if the whole job is done by a chip this small, why keep the plastic at all?
Hold that thought.
So how does a chip that never shares its secret prove the number is yours?
Watch the handshake.
When your phone connects, the tower doesn't ask for the password. It sends a random puzzle, a fresh string of numbers, different every time.
The chip takes that puzzle, mixes it with the hidden key using math baked in at the factory, and sends back an answer. Here's the clever part.
The carrier has its own copy of your secret key locked in its own vault.
It runs the exact same math on the same puzzle. If its answer matches the chip's answer, you're authenticated.
And notice what never happened.
The key itself never traveled over the air. Only puzzles and answers did.
That's why stealing your number is hard. Someone can copy the numbers flying between phone and tower all day, but the puzzle changes every time, so yesterday's answer is useless tomorrow.
Without the secret sealed in the chip, they can't produce fresh answers.
This is also why your number is tied to the chip, not the phone. Move the chip to any handset and the number follows, because the secret rode along inside it.
The phone is just a shell around the thing that actually proves who you are.
Which raises the obvious next question. What if the chip is soldered down and can't move?
Here's the twist that changes everything.
Take that exact secure chip, same processor, same locked vault, and solder it straight onto the phone's main board.
That's the eSIM. The I is for embedded. It's built in, not popped in.
Now the clever part. A plastic card arrives from the factory with one number already loaded. A soldered chip can't be swapped like that, so instead it downloads the carrier's profile over the internet. You scan a QR code or tap a button in an app, and the carrier writes a new profile, your ID and secret key, straight into the chip in minutes.
No shipping, no mail.
And it isn't limited to one. A single eSIM can store up to 5 profiles side by side and switch between them. Usually 1 or 2 run at once. That's the dual SIM setup, a work line and a personal line living on the same chip.
The others sit parked ready.
Think of it as one chip holding 5 different identities and picking which to wear. Nothing physical to lose, snap, or wear out. No tray, no paperclip, no tiny card to drop down a drain. But a soldered-in chip and a pop-out card now behave very differently in daily life. So which one actually wins?
Let's put them head to head.
Switching carriers on a plastic card means waiting for one in the mail, then the paperclip pop. On an eSIM, you scan a QR code and you're live in minutes.
Traveling.
With plastic, you hunt for a shop abroad and buy a local card. With an eSIM, you download a travel profile from your hotel Wi-Fi before you even land. Now the security angle, and it cuts both ways. A thief can't pull an eSIM out of a stolen phone.
There's nothing to slide out.
So the old trick of yanking your card to grab your texts and two-factor codes stops working.
But it doesn't stop everything.
A scammer can still call your carrier, impersonate you, and talk a support agent into moving your number to their device.
That attack targets the carrier's account, not the chip, and it works on both types. Here's the honest trade-off.
Moving a plastic card to a new phone is instant.
Pop it out, pop it in, done.
Moving an eSIM usually means reprovisioning. You contact the carrier or transfer the profile digitally, which takes a few extra steps.
The key thing to hold on to. Both use the identical security model. Same secret key, same puzzle and answer handshake.
The only difference is form factor and how the profile gets delivered, not how your number is protected. So what does all of this actually add up to?
So here's the whole picture. Your phone number was never really on the plastic.
It lives as a secret key locked inside a tiny secure chip, and that chip proves you're you by answering random puzzles without ever revealing the key. That's true whether the chip pops out on a card or sits soldered to the board. The eSIM keeps that exact protection, same locked secret, same handshake, and adds two things the plastic couldn't. It holds up to 5 numbers at once, and it needs 0 swaps to change carriers. Practically, that means switching networks in minutes instead of days, real defense against a thief physically stealing your number. And one phone that can quietly be many numbers, a work line, a personal line, a travel line, all guarded by the same math.
Same key, new bodies. That's the eSIM.
One chip up to 5 numbers, 0 swaps. That's the eSIM. Check your phone's settings for an eSIM option. Most models from the last few years have one waiting. And if you want the next teardown, like how your phone knows exactly where you are without ever asking a satellite, subscribe and I'll open that box next.